Thank you all for joining us this morning. And I'd like to give, at the outset, my special thanks to Emmanuel Jimenez and his team at the International Initiative for Impact Evaluation, 3IE, along with many staff from the Independent Evaluation Group, IEG, who have made today's conference possible. And thanks to all of those present and watching online for joining us today for what I hope is a day of interactive dialogue and forward-looking reflection on the important topics of citizen engagement and accountable government. Now, we know the yearning for more responsible and accountable governance is far from new. But it somehow feels incredibly urgent in these times, in the face of technological change and the kind of new threats and opportunities facing people and planet. Ordinary citizens are increasingly eager and able to make their voices heard. Yet growing demands for transparency and engagement haven't necessarily been met with a corresponding response from governments. In several countries, participatory space is shrinking, not growing. Improvements in governance are important to support global stability and the sustainability of development efforts. And that's why we in IEG and other organisations have a focus on evaluations that take a careful look at the efforts to engage citizens and increase government accountability. IEG recently completed an evaluation of the World Bank Group's 2014 commitment to mainstream citizen engagement. This report was conceived with a very clear learning objective to provide an early assessment of this important agenda and to contribute to any future World Bank review or update of its corporate citizen engagement goals, targets and approaches. We looked at citizen engagement at the project, country and corporate levels, meaning that the lessons from the evaluation are anchored in a broad review of strategically relevant initiatives. You will hear more about this evaluation's findings this afternoon. But for now, let me say that the evaluation identifies some very encouraging achievements in the World Bank Group's support to its citizen engagement agenda, including evidence of a shift in the mindset of the institution towards making beneficiary feedback a key part of what the World Bank Group does. And this often is the most difficult piece to get in place. At the same time, the evaluation identifies opportunities that the institution can seize to deepen the effectiveness of its citizen engagement efforts and to have greater impact. Now, we're particularly pleased to host this event with 3IE. Our shared aim is to provide an in-depth conversation among development actors and beneficiaries about what works, why, and how. Our hope is, as evaluators, that our work inspires you to ask the right questions, to engage with the evidence, and to make informed decisions in your respective fields. This collaboration with 3IE provides us with a great opportunity to look in depth at what we know, what the evidence shows, and where the gaps are. And we have today with us a very diverse group of experts and implementers from across the development landscape. So I request that you use and engage in today's conference as an opportunity to have those interactive discussions, to step out maybe of your comfort zone and think about how you can apply what you hear from today's speakers in your own work. Maybe the question is, as you leave today, what will I do differently on Tuesday morning as a result of today's discussion? And now I'll pass over to Emmanuel Jimenez. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming here this morning. on this wonderful spring day. You know, the opportunity costs of being cooped up in this room are fairly high. It's probably the most glorious time here in DC. I also know it's a very busy time for all of you. Of course, there's the World Bank IMF spring meetings, but also this is the week that 3IE is having its members conference and its Board of Commissioners meeting. So I encourage all of you to interact with about 30 institutions around the world who are really committed to the kind of evidence seeking that Alison talked about. I'm also very grateful to Alison and the IEG team for partnering with us, because we couldn't think of a better partner on engaging in this topic of citizen engagement and government accountability. And there are really two reasons that I was thinking back why it is that I really feel that the synergies between 3IE and the World Bank have really are really key. The World Bank really has been a leader in this whole area of citizen engagement for a long time. And one of the things that I think that is really left behind to the development community are analytical frameworks. And these frameworks have really helped sharpen our thinking on what we should expect from citizen engagement and how it might link to economic development. I remember the 2004 World Development Report, which talked about these two routes of accountability. The long route in which citizens elect officials who elect politicians who select officials, who then select implementers who actually provide the service. As we know, we sometimes, that long route of accountability doesn't always work out as we had hoped. If you look at examples from both developing as well as developed countries, because of a variety of things, including how much information these citizens have, but also the receptivity of those politicians to the so-called advice from the citizens themselves. The WDR then also talked about this short route of accountability, in which there's a more direct link between the citizens themselves and the service providers. And that also has pluses and minuses. It's very interesting to see whether or not the outcomes that we expect from that, given perhaps local capture, really outweighs the benefits from having this more direct link. That's why we're very much looking forward to the results of the evaluation that Alison mentioned of the World Bank, because it's an opportunity for the whole world to learn about the diverse experience that this institution has had on these issues. We in 3IE have also done some work in this area. We've done systematic reviews, for example, on community-driven development, which is one of the instruments that the World Bank has developed on the short route of accountability. You'll hear a little later on today about the work that's been done on evaluations of how in the extractive industries providing information to citizens can really make a difference. So it promises to be a very exciting day. Look forward to learning from all of you. And as Alison mentioned, the way you engage is how we in the evaluation community will find out what are the really important things that we need to work on to make sure that decision makers have the tools that they have in trying to improve people's lives.